We are in the sunset of a great energy regime. Coal, oil, natural gas, uranium. Sunsets take a long time. We're going to be in this twilight period for decades to come. But what is becoming clear is that the externalities, the problems resulting from the end of this energy era, are now overwhelming the benefits we're getting from the energy. We are reaching the entropy wall. You cannot escape the second law of thermodynamics, the entropy law. We are at the twilight of a great energy era. Raises an important question. What do we do? What do we do? It's all about oil. It's all about oil. We grow our food in petrochemical fertilizers and pesticides. Our plastics, our building materials, our pharmaceutical products, our clothes, they're all petrochemical, almost all of them. Our power, our transport, our heat, our light, the energy, the goods, the services of this entire civilization are embedded in the burial grounds of the Jurassic Age. Now we're in the sunset of this great energy era. Climate change. So we exhumed the burial grounds of the Jurassic Age. We burned the energy, coal, oil, and gas. Now we have too much CO2 and methane and nitrous oxide clogging the biosphere. It turns out the number one cause of climate change is our buildings. Our buildings. The number two cause of climate change is meat production, and the number three cause is world transportation, and almost nobody knows this. Nobody talks about it. What are distributed energies? They're energies found in the backyard. The sun shines all over the world. The wind blows everywhere on the planet. We all have garbage. If we live in an agricultural area, we have agricultural waste and forestry waste. If we live on the great coastal areas, and most of our urban populations do, we have the ocean waves and the ocean tides. We have geothermal right underneath the ground. We just have to go down to the earth and get it. We have water for small hydro. These are distributed energies. They're found all over the world. They're found in the backyard. The energy is all over. It's everywhere I look outside these walls. We only use a fraction of the distributed energy in this world. The sun, the wind, the hydro, the garbage, the waste. Now, we can't build enough centralized solar parks and centralized wind parks to collect it all, because the energy is in every square foot. You just can't build every square foot out there. It's centralized. I'm not opposed to centralized solar parks or wind parks, but they're transitional. So pillar one is we're going to renewable distributed energy, and then pillar two is the buildings. It's the buildings. The buildings used are the primary users of CO, of carbon. Buildings use 30% of our fossil fuel energy. They produce about a third of our climate change, global warming, and I'm here to tell you that the problem is the solution. Those same buildings that created the problems are going to be our solution, pillar 2. What I want you to imagine in 25 years from now, in Spain, the Iberian Peninsula, across the EU and around the world, I want you to imagine millions and millions and millions of buildings. Homes, offices, shopping malls, industrial parks, technology parks. I want you to imagine every building is a power plant. I'm not talking about buildings that are more energy efficient. That's important. We have to take the existing energies, use them less, reduce the carbon footprint. I'm talking about something different. The buildings will collect the renewable energy because the buildings are our structures, and the energy is all around our structures. So we commit ourselves to a generation of buildings from here on in, for thousands of years, that are power plants. They collect the local renewable energy with solar roofs and wind, small wind. And they collect the garbage. And if they're in the rural areas, they collect the agricultural and forestry waste and the methane from the animals. And if they're in the coastal areas, they will collect the waves and the tides from the oceans. And if they're interior, they'll collect the geothermal from under the ground, and they'll use small hydro. So number one, we go to distributed renewable energy. Number two, the buildings load that energy all over the world. They're the power plants. The problem becomes the solution. The adversity becomes the opportunity. Number three, though, how do we store this energy? We got a problem here. The wind does not always blow. Water tables can be down when there's a drought, so you don't have hydro. These are intermittent energies, many of the renewable energies. So what do? We have to find a way not just to collect them, but to store them. This is where hydrogen comes in and other storage technologies. We're going to use water pumping, we're going to use batteries, we're going to use flywheels, we're going to use capacitors, but they're all niche. They can't give you the load you need for big storage, but we'll use them. We're going to use all of them. But hydrogen is the end game. You generate electricity with your solar roof or your wind turbine, and you use the electricity. If you have surplus electricity, you electrolyze water, high school chemistry. You put the anode and the cathode in the water, the hydrogen comes floating out. You've stored part of that solar energy. Simple. So then you can use the hydrogen for transport, your vehicles, or convert it back to electricity. So when the sun isn't shining or the wind is blowing at night, but you need the electricity during the day, you stored that wind in hydrogen. Convert it back to electricity. So number one, distributed renewable energy. Number two, millions of buildings to load the energy. They're power plants. Number three, hydrogen to store the energy.
I'm not a crook. Robert Kennedy was shot in that ballroom.
And then number 4. This is where the communication revolution I talked about converges with the distributed energy revolution to create a third industrial revolution. We're going to take the same technology that created the internet. It's identical technology. And we're going to take the power grid of Spain and then across Iberia, then across Europe and the world, and we're going to turn that power grid into an intergrid, intelligent, smart, distributed, using the exact same technologies of the internet. So that when millions and millions of people produce their own energy in your homes, your office, your factories, you store the surplus in hydrogen and other storage technologies, then you can share that surplus peer-to-peer across an intergrid. Just like now, we have a generation that can create their own information on the computer, store it in digital, share it across the world in an internet. Third industrial revolution. Third industrial revolution.